All right, welcome everyone. Today's topic is the UNHCEMS training system. The training system started as a feature that the University of New Hampshire wanted to create in CHEMS to track user training that happens at throughout our campus. We wanted to track users, their training requirements, their assigned training requirements, if they had successfully completed those requirements, and then training requirements that have where you have to retrain your users on a expiration interval. We wanted to track who is overdue on certain trainings. So we put this system into CHEMS because there was a large population of our users that were already using CHEMS, and it just made sense to utilize the same dashboards and lists that we have already put into CHEMS. And then everybody here gets the benefit of having this training system that's built into all CHEMS systems. So this is something that you can start using today as soon as you start configuring the data objects, the training data objects in your system. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is log into my demonstration CHEMS system. And to get started with the training system, we're going to want to assign some new roles to your account. So I will find my account. I want to make sure that I have the training manager role. That's the most important one. And if I'm going to be building training courses, I can also have the training instructor role. The training instructor role is something that you can also assign to people that will want to create courses. They may not necessarily manage all the training data as an administrator of the training system, but if they need the ability to create courses and manage the course data for those courses that they've created, they can also you can also make somebody a training instructor. After I do that, you'll need to click Save. And then after doing so, you'll see a new section in your dashboard called Training. Now, before I dive into the training system, I think it probably makes sense to explain some of the concepts around training. The first concept I'd like to talk about is the training requirements themselves. The training requirement represents the skill a user obtains by completing a course that fulfills a training requirement. So here's some examples of that. We have things like animal handling training, asbestos awareness, or confined space. Let's open the biosafety level 1 training requirement. So here we have a name, description. You can also indicate the number of months that this training requirement is good for. So after this indicated amount of months, it would expire, and the user may be expected to complete a refresher course. Another feature of training requirements is you can optionally also define test questions, and the test questions are used within the training courses. They're presented to a user, and if the user answers them correctly, the user will get issued a certification, and the system will keep track of those that the user completed that training requirement. Now, the test questions are optional. They're only used for the online type courses, and I should mention that the UNHCEMS training system supports both online training and classroom session training. So the test questions are only really used for the online training component. You could specify them in CHEMS, and certainly you could print them out and use them that way in a classroom session. But really, their primary reason for them in the system is for the online training component. The next concept I would like to discuss is the training course. So here's a list of courses in my demo site. By default, we have a default filter enabled where it's only showing the current courses. Let's, for an example, let's open the civil rights training. So I want to bring up this form and kind of discuss what some of these fields are within the training course record. First, we have a name. This is the name of the course. We also have a select box that indicates whether this course is currently enabled or not. We have the instructors of the course. You can have more than one instructor. And we have a course description. The description will be displayed when a user decides to take a course. You can optionally set an enrollment period. This is useful primarily for classroom session training, where you want people to enroll perhaps a week before the classroom session actually takes place. We can choose whether or not we want to advertise the course. If the course is advertised, and that is the default, the course will show up in as being available in kind of like a public course catalog right on a user's dashboard. So it allows, and we, a lot of times, and you'll see this later, users really take courses that they have to take. But you'll notice that some people, if those courses are available, even if they're not required to take it, those courses are still available, and if it's an online training, people still take them. Here we can specify the max registrations. This is not as useful for online training, but if definitely useful in a classroom session, you may want to set that to however many seats are in the classroom that you're going to be using. Here we have the session date. That's especially important for classroom sessions. Online classes, you would leave this blank. You can specify training requirement prerequisites. What this is if you, as part of this course, if you're expecting that users already have fulfilled other training requirements in the system, you can specify what those things are. And this is one of the most important ones, is fulfills requirements. You can specify 0 or more training requirements that will be fulfilled if the user takes this course and passes it. The next is online training content. Online training content, you can enter just plain text in if you want, or you can enter, in this box, you can enter in HTML. You can also use the visual editor to help you make that HTML. So here's an example of where Ken Brown entered the online training content for a course here at UNH using the visual editor. This visual editor is kind of neat. You can actually upload and attach files to it pretty easily. I can embed PDFs. I can upload, well, you can upload really any type of file that you want directly into this document, and it'll create a file link for people to click. So it doesn't need, your training content, it doesn't just have to be HTML that they upload. It can be file content as well. And here at UNH, we use a lot of PDFs. The next field is the start test delay. So this is the number of minutes that we expect somebody to at least spend learning the training content. If they try to complete the course or take the test before this number, it will it'll present a message asking them to spend some more time learning the training materials. This, by default, is 1, and I think 1 is a reasonable default. You can set it higher, you can set it to whatever you want. We have found that if we set this to 0, users have a tendency of clicking buttons and not reading the text. And what we didn't want to happen is for users to start a test or complete a course without really looking at the training materials. So this helps prevent that. Here's the online test options. We can optionally present. So if you remember, as part of the training requirement, we could specify test questions. When we build a course, the system will automatically randomly select out of that pool of questions, those questions, and present them to the user. So if we entered 20 questions in for this training requirement, it will randomly select 4 and expect the user to answer correctly 100% of them. You can adjust this however you want. You can make this much bigger. You can make it the same amount, 20. You can make it 20, the same amount as the test questions that are available. You could also define what course questions are going to be asked manually. If you do that, they'll be fixed. They won't be randomly selected. One thing I should mention is if your course fulfills multiple training requirements, the system will automatically randomly select questions out of all the training requirements that you said it would fulfill. So that's kind of a neat feature. A course creator can also choose when to show feedback. So as part of a test question, we can specify feedback that can be presented to the user to help reinforce a concept. So for example, there could be a question that I answer, and if I answer that wrong, sometimes it's useful to have the system come back and tell me why I was wrong. Give me the reason right away to help reinforce and teach the user the concept. So here, on a course-by-course basis, the instructor can say, yes, show this feedback every time after they answer a question, or if they don't want to share that feedback and they want to make the user actually learn those concepts from the training content, they can choose to only show that after the test. Here we have the enrollment field. The enrollment field details which enrollments passed, which enrollments failed. It would also detail the number of students that are in progress or the number of students that are registered for a course if this was a classroom session course. And training instructors can actually add enrollments directly using this button. They can register users for a course. These are clickable, so I can click the 7 and see these are the 7 people that have passed my civil rights training course. Over here is their certificate. I can load that up. So that's a course record. Now there's a few ways in which a user can find your course. The easiest way would be for an administrator or a supervisor to specify that a user needs a training requirement. The system will automatically notify the user that the training is necessary if a course is available to meet the requirement. Later on, I will show you how an administrator or supervisor can tell the system that a training requirement is required for a user. The second way we can get a user to take our course is to enroll them in the course using the course record. And I was just here. So this is the enrollment. I can manually add a user to this list. So let's add myself to the list. So I can search for your users by their username, their email address, their last name, comma, first name. It will look through all the ECHEMS users and find that user. Now, this tool can also, if you have your LDAP directory hooked up to your CHEMS site, it'll actually not only search your CHEMS users for these users, but it could also search your full student database or your in your staff database as well. So they don't necessarily have to have a CHEMS account. Another neat feature here is I can actually, instead of finding students one by one, I can paste a large block of identities. So names, emails, usernames, I can paste 100 of them in here, and it will attempt to find the identity within CHEMS as well as external directories and import them into and enroll them into this course. The third way a user can find a course is by selecting the course from the list of available courses report on the dashboard. Let me show you that. I can close these out. So that's down here. View available courses. This is a list of all the so do you remember earlier where I was in the course record and I indicated whether I wanted to advertise my course? If I said yes to that, and that is the default, then those courses show up on this full list of training courses that allow open enrollment. The last and perhaps most convenient way to get a user to take a course is to simply advertise the course using a web link. Let me show you how to get the web link. So we were doing the civil rights training. That's right here. So advertise course, right here is the direct course link. Now I can take this and copy it, and I can send that out in an email. If I know who needs to take the course, I can just blast out an email with those users and say, hey, I need everyone that gets this email, I need you to click here to take this course. You can also post that link on a web page, or you could post it on a shared calendar, or if you have an event system, you could post it there as well. So let's do that. Let's take this course. So if users if they get that link and they go directly to that course link, they're not going to see the rest of CHEMS. They're not going to see the dashboard. They're going to see what you're seeing now is just a training system. So if I click this link in my email, or I get it from your university event system, I'll come in and I'll click that link, and this is what I'll see. I can choose that, confirm, yes, I want to start this online training. It will display the online training content that we saw earlier. And I would be expected to read through this, click these links, understand all the course materials. And when I'm ready, I can start the test. So I click Start Test, and it says, please spend more time learning the training materials. So we want people, when they start a course, to actually spend the time to look at the course training materials. I think this one is set to 1 minute, so we'll have to wait a minute. One of the, so this really just uses text and some external links, but we can actually embed, and I'll show this later. We can embed video, we can embed PowerPoint. There's a lot of neat features that we can use to bring kind of rich content into this training, online training content section. One of the things that is available to you is you can actually find quite a bit of training material that's hosted on YouTube that's already out there that you can use embed links. And I'll show that later. We'll go to YouTube and we'll find something and put it in the training content section. And it'll show up as an embedded video that your users can view. So I think a minute has gone by. I'm going to click Start Test. And here's my first question. I'm going to have to guess on some of these. Wow. Oh, it's this one. Okay. Let's go up. Okay, I passed. Phew. So here's my certificate, and I can print this out right now to indicate that I completed this training successfully, and the system now knows that I completed it successfully. Here's the certificate number that we can cross-reference. And by the way, this certificate is a customizable template. It's not something that you as site administrators can easily customize. However, right at this moment, what we can do is you can provide us the template and we can upload it into your CHEM system, or you can just tell us, you know, hey, we want our site logo instead of the UNH logo, and we'll help you do that. Eventually, we would like we've had some discussion about having having site administrators the ability to customize these templates, and possibly also training instructors may want to, depending on the training course, they may also want to customize the certificate as well. So we chose to show the test feedback at the end. So here's the view test feedback link. So we can see which questions we answered, which ones we answered right. If we had answered them wrong, that would be listed there too. Actually, these questions don't have like that reinforced feedback specified. If they did, after the correct or wrong status, it would explain and give the reason why. So that's an optional thing to have that ability. Not every instructor is going to choose to put that reinforcement text on there. Now that the system has marked that this user has completed this training requirement, that allows us to do reporting on who has or has not completed training requirements. I'll go back to the CHEM system. So we can see that with this report, the completed requirements report. This will show all completed training requirements. And we can, because this is just a record set in the system, you can use all the filtering capabilities and sorting capabilities and save searches that you would normally use with the chemical inventory. You'll notice that the training requirement is decoupled from the training course. So, and that's useful for a couple reasons. By decoupling the training course with the training requirement, administrators can also specify that a user has met the training requirement in some other way. So for example, if a user, let's say you require, you have a user that you're requiring that they have their electrician's license. Now that may not be a course that you offer that your university can fulfill, but you still want to keep track of that. And that is no problem in the CHEMS training system. What you would do is go to completed requirements, and we can create a new record. We can select the user, select the training requirement, electrician's license, set the date that they obtain the license, and click Save. You don't actually have to have training courses in the system. You can have training requirements without the training course. We can also view the enrollments report if we want to see what courses a user took on the site. That's right here. So this is the full list. It shows people that have passed, what their enrollment statuses are. This one's incomplete. It's a course that this account had started but did not complete. If failures will also be in here as well. And again, you can use the record set capabilities to find that data. So my demo data, I don't actually have any failures. So the next concept I want to discuss is user training requirements. Administrators and supervisors are responsible for telling CHEMS that a user needs a training requirement. Before I want to explain this part here, the My Colleagues section. This is an area where users can, supervisors can add their direct reports to the system. So for example, I can select another user from the system, click Submit, and I can mark that, yes, I am the supervisor. And this person, I won't try to pronounce that name, can assist me in certain tasks, and I can click Save. So that relationship then is used to help make this compliance matrix dashboard. And you can see all my direct reports are listed. And by the way, the system is set up in such a way that you either have to be an administrator to make these relationships, or you have to be the direct report and indicate that this person is my supervisor, or you have to be marked as a supervisor in the system to make the direct reports. And that's set up in such a way that we don't want people to somehow elevate their privileges in the system using these self-service tools. But as a supervisor, I have this ability to add direct reports to my account. And in doing so, I kind of get this bird's eye view of my compliance in my lab. So things that have green check marks, well, that's where I have indicated, or a CHEMS administrator has indicated that this user needs that training. The things that are marked with an exclamation point are things that I have indicated that the user needs the training and they need to do it within the next couple weeks. So I can enable training in the lab. And the neat thing about this is this is a useful tool, because as a lab manager, I'm working in the lab, I know who's working for me, and I can say, gee, Spano has been working a lot with Marlon. I know that he needs biosafety level 2 and biosafety level 1. Same with Abby. They need those things. And it's really easy to see within this grid what needs to be turned on and what is no longer necessary. So I can turn those things on. And now when these users log in, they're going to see in their training section, they're not going to see all the administrative components, but they're going to see that they need to take these courses that complete my training requirements. So even as myself, as I'm marked as a lab manager, I myself, here's my line, have some upcoming due training requirements, and this is a section detailing what those things are. And right from this menu, I can begin the training courses. If it's a classroom session, I can register. So yeah, let's do that. I'll show you what the registration looks like. So this is very similar to what we saw before, but instead of saying start online training, we're going to register for the classroom training. And now I'm registered. On my dashboard, it'll also then show me that I'm registered and also give me the opportunity to cancel my registration. So here's my view registration link, and I can cancel if I can't make it for some reason. Now that I've explained the core components of the UNHCEMS training system, let's create a training requirement in a course from scratch. We'll start by clicking requirements, so manage requirements. And what I want to do, I'm going to create a dry ice requirement. So if you're going to work with dry ice, you're going to need to know some of these details. So I prepared a little description. And let's say users that take this requirement need to be retrained with a refresher every 24 months. So let's add some test questions next. So here I'll put in the text for the question, and I can use that visual editor which is great because sometimes you may have questions that you need to embed some type of file, and you'll be able to do that with the visual editor. You can upload any type of file or PDF if necessary. But most questions are just plain text, and you don't need to do anything fancy. And you can just type out the text of your question here. And you could choose a widget type. We have radio box. Radio boxes are like check boxes, but it only accepts one check within that group. Check boxes are, there's multiple things that a user can check. So there's multiple answers to the question. A select box would be selecting one answer from a list. And then text would be you expecting the user to type in the right answer. I'm going to do radio box. Radio box is the default, and I think it's the most common one that people use. And this is should not. And here in the feedback, I could type in, why it is should not. Just for the demo, I'll put in. Click save. So that's our first question, and I'll quickly add a couple more questions. I should mention that once this dry ice training requirement is created, multiple courses can then utilize that training requirement and thus the test questions that are associated with it. So what we're doing right now is kind of a one-time thing. It's the first time we enter the training requirement. Each time we create a new class that uses those training requirements, we don't have to do this work. We don't have to enter the test questions in. So let's do that. Let's create a course that utilizes that training requirement. And for this first course, let's not make an online training course. Let's make a classroom session. You can put whatever you want in this description field, and it can be as long as you want. Let's make the enrollment period starting today we'll go up to the day of the course. We'll advertise it. Let's say there's 20 seats. Once it gets to 20, that course will be closed. People won't be able to register additional registrations for it unless other people have canceled. The session date will be on the 1st. It fulfills the dry ice. This is the one we created. And for the online training content, I'm gonna, let's see. I actually want to make some training content kind of on the fly here. Let's, one way to make kind of some training content like a slideshow would be to use Google Slides. And to use that, you can pull up Google Drive and click New and type, select Google Slides. And this is essentially like PowerPoint, but it's free. And I can just put in handling dry ice at UNH. And I can add as many slides as I want here. Step 1, text. I should make it pretty. Step 2. And then I'll have this concludes the training. So after I make my slides, I can click File and Publish to the web. And right here, Embed. Now there's a lot of different software out there on the web that allows you to copy these embed codes, and this is what it looks like. Usually it'll have some link that says embed. You usually can specify the slide size, and in this case we can set how fast it auto advances by default. I'll click Publish. So here's the embed code. And the embed code usually, it looks like this. It has like an iframe tag. This is a little HTML snippet. And if I copy this I can bring this over into the training system. I can just paste it right here. We have a test that we want the user to take. The number of questions I want to ask, we'll say 2, just for the demonstration purposes. Well, if I were to make this, I know we only entered 3 questions, but let's say I put 10 here. That's not a problem. It's just going to ask, it won't ask 10. It'll actually only ask 3 because we've only entered 3. I'll expect that users get at least a 80%. You can fill in the max number of retries that are allowed. After, I can put this in as 10 retries. After 10 retries, they won't be able to, they'll try again the next day. All right, I'm going to click Save. So our new course is in the system. If I refresh our dashboard, you're going to actually see that I'm the instructor of this new course. Courses I manage, dry ice training. 0 people are registered, and here's a quick link where I can add enrollments manually as well. I don't have to do that. Again, I can take this link right here, and I can open my email program and send out this link to the select users that I want to have take the course. And let's do that. So if I open this up, oh, you know what? I said I was going to not do an online course. I wanted to have a classroom session. Let me do that. We'll do the online classroom session, or we'll do the online course afterwards. So to convert this to a classroom session, we simply remove the online training content. The online training content is what makes it an online course. I'll click Save. And okay. Now if I go back to this link, I can register for classroom training. So dry ice training in Morse Hall on this date. Yes, I want to register. Now I am registered and I'll be expected to attend. As a course instructor, after the course is complete, I would need to grade my students and mark which ones have passed or not passed the course. And to do that, I would pull up the training course from my dashboard and scroll down, and you can see a grade book. This will show all the people that have enrolled in my class, and these, by default in the grade book, it shows all the ones that are not yet graded. So you can imagine if I had 20 people that have enrolled, they would all be listed here, and I would simply go through the list and mark each one, give each one of these statuses, and then click Save. Now, after doing so, it will show that I have that dry ice, completed that dry ice training. So let's now take that course, and I'm going to actually remove my enrollment. I'm going to delete it, just so we can now turn this course into an online training course, and I want to show you what that looks like. So here's the online training content, and if I put our slide presentation that we made with Google Slides. If I paste that here and click Save. We can now take this course. So I'll start the online training. So here's the slide presenter. And this content, this training content, these slides are actually coming from Google. We made this as a Google document. The training right here is not actually hosted within CHEMS. It's hosted within my Google Drive account. Now, there's definitely other, besides, if you don't want to use Google, that's fine. There's other software that where you can, for example, at UNH we use Box as our file sharing platform of choice, and Box allows you to upload PowerPoint files, and for those you can share them out with an embed code as well, and you can paste that same embed code here, and instead of this coming from Google, it would come from our university Box server instead. So after I would finish watching this presentation, I can start the test. And okay, I failed, which isn't a problem. I have 10 retries remaining. I can try again. The course will restart, and hopefully I'll watch my training content again, and let's try to pass it this time. Yay, passed. Okay, good. And now on my dashboard, I should see that I passed. So you can see that I took the dry ice training. It's now in my compliance matrix, and it's checked off. And again, having it in this matrix is really nice. It automatically will load all the training requirements that myself and all my direct reports have within the matrix, and that makes it easy to. You wouldn't want to show every training requirement in the system in this matrix. You could have hundreds, and it would be really hard to read, and it's no longer useful. But these would be the training requirements that are kind of used in my lab, the things that I care about and I need my direct reports to have. And it makes it very simple to say, yes, these 4 other people, they also need that training requirement. And you know what? I'm not working with lasers anymore. We can turn these off. So a very, very simple, fast way to administer user training requirements. Let me show you guys how to embed a box video, because I think that's a YouTube video, because I think that's pretty neat. Hopefully I can pull up something quickly here. Try. So this might be a good one. Let's say it is. So the way we would do this with YouTube is there's a share. I think this is it right here. Share, embed. Here's that iframe tag. I'm going to take this, copy it. I can close YouTube now. We're going to go back and modify that course to now include a video instead of that PowerPoint presentation, or the Google Slides presentation. That wasn't very good. And I should mention, you can, well, instead of deleting the slides, you can definitely, you can have more than just one of these embeds in your online training content. You can embed as many videos in PowerPoint presentations as you want. And we can even use the visual editor to mark it up as well. So watch the video. Just so I can take this again, I'm going to delete my previous enrollment. Come back here and save it. You'll notice now that I deleted my enrollment, it's now shown in my compliance matrix. I no longer am meeting that dry ice requirement. So I need to take it again. Let's get the link. I didn't save it. It's right here. This is where we can advertise the course. The other way to do this, instead of the link, we can, see right here on the dashboard, it's actually saying I need dry ice. Well, under courses that complete my training requirements, here's dry ice training. Start online training. So here's the PowerPoint presentation, or not PowerPoint, the Google presentation up at the top. And here's the YouTube video that I can watch. And users can choose to go full screen if they want. Hopefully you guys can see the videos. I don't know if they work through the screen share that we're doing right now. So that is the UNHCEMS training system. Let me take a minute to look at my notes to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, I do want to mention this. The training module, this training system, it has a broader impact than the chemical inventory module. And because of that, you may wish to allow users to complete online training courses or register for training courses outside of your allowed IP addresses. So usually when we set up a CHEMS site, we don't allow outside access to your CHEMS site unless you're on campus. You're using an on-campus network address. And the way the way you guys can configure that is through the allowed IPs. And that's a global variable, and let me show you that. So system, global vars, here's the allowed IP addresses. Now, for training is something that we may want to allow outside of the allowed IP addresses. And what we can do here is on a module by module basis, we can specify which modules that we're going to allow outside of our allowed IPs. Now, by default, this is blank. But for training purposes, you may want to add some modules here. And if you read this description text up here, it'll tell you, to enable the training system from external locations, use these are the modules that you should put in this box. And what that will do is it will make it so people still won't be able to access chemical inventory. Almost all the other parts of the chem system won't be functional outside of your network. But for the training system, those training modules will be allowed. The other thing that I think you might want to also allow is account auto activation. So right now, users, when they want to use your UNHCEMS site, they have to request an account, and then administrators have to choose to approve that account. That is the default setup. Now, the active account privilege itself does not really grant additional access in UNHCEMS. So just by giving somebody the active account status, that does not really provide them any more access into your system. It just acknowledges that this person has an active account. In order to search for chemical inventory, I also have to either own that inventory, or I have to be a lab associate or in an access group with someone that actually owns that inventory, or I have to have an additional role such as the view all chemical inventory role or the update inventory role. So there's roles that will provide access, or I can get access by kind of the association of my account. But by default, if somebody's just given the active account role, they don't own inventory and they're not associated, a lab associate of anyone with inventory, there really is no extra access. And because of that, you may wish to enable auto activate account. And what this does is, if this is turned on, that's set to 1, if I create an account or someone in the system creates an account, it will automatically give them the active account role where they can log in. Now, they won't be able to do anything, but they will be able to log in. And why it's important? Well, they'll be able to log in and take training. So if this is something that, if the UNHCEMS training module is something that you think might be useful for groups outside of your CHEMS users, you can enable this, and it'll make your life simpler as administrators, because you won't have to go through and manually activate people's accounts just for training. So I think that's all I have for training. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video and open it up for questions.